usually what's happening in the dynamics of let's say 30 years and earlier, within the dynamics of both young women and young men that are within that dynamic, you're playing out your young adult templates.
Mm-hmm.
You're playing out a dynamic of energy where you think you know it all, but you're also more liable to fuck up something really bad
Mm-hmm.
um, at that point in your life. Point of the dynamic is that within the Western society that exists within the United States and Canada at this point in time, there is a dichotomy. There are a group of women that would wish to be trad wives that are connected emotionally through children, through the masculine, through love, through reproduction, through all of that. And then there are the women who wish to be independent and be on their own and be strong and be, an earner as far as that dynamic of energy goes. And there needs to be room for both. And the problem is that there's not room for both right now. You've got two aspects of the feminine at loggerheads. You do see that, right?
Um, I
Well,
can.
you don't suffer from it, but look at your daughters. Look at your younger daughter.
My two daughters took the two different pathways.
That's right. One daughter took the pathway of love and nurture and children, and the other one is still alone.
Mm-hmm.
Now, who's angrier?
Oh, the daughter who's alone.
So there is that, isn't there? There's that whole dynamic of connection. Now, if let's call them career women, were smart, they would form, intimate groups where they would support each other. But the problem is that the feminine is naturally in competition with other women. Hmm. Go ahead.
I do think that's changing. I
Is
do,
it though? Is
I
it
do,
though?
I do
With the
feel that people,
dynamics of dating apps and all of that stuff that exists right now in your world, seems to be very few opportunities for boys and girls to just get together and find out who they are, unless they have one of those things.
oh, you're talking about the younger people. I was thinking about, you get to a point in your life where you support your fellow female people, your male friends, you create your own network so that you don't have to rely on, being a trad wife or that's maybe it's the disconnect that's causing the anger because
Well,
there aren't the same support systems.
it's also the fact that most women don't do that.
Oh, no,
Men
most don't. You're right. You're right. Yeah.
they would rather be alone and consider themselves still competitive within the dynamic because it's a competition. Dating these days is a competition between women. It has to do with looks, it has to do with sexuality, it has to do, with so many different things except for love.
Well, and I know why that is. It's because of that biological clock. So, you accept lesser than at a certain time because maybe you want to have kids. So, you don't wait for that love. You go for what's good for you at this moment.
Right.
So,
Well,
season, reason, lifetime.
The time that you are absolutely not looking for love in your life is the time when you are most susceptible to pregnancy. Because it's not like you're looking for love, but you're looking to satisfy that dynamic of lust. Because there is a strong and energy, a strong urge for procreation. You know, whether you be gay, whether you be straight, it doesn't really matter. There is a certain that's a point in one's life, probably from the time you're about 14 or 15 until the time when you're in your 30s, when the dynamic begins to wane somewhat. There is that dynamic of that inner urge that says, copulate, right? Right. So
Well, this seems to come down to more of issues the feminine with the feminine than it has to
at
do
this point,
with the
because we're only
masculine.
talking about, well, and now you want to make the dynamics more complex because, as we have often said in the past, the soul thrives on complexity. If you want to make it more complex, now add the masculine. And not only do you have the dynamics of now the masculine is used to competing.
Hmm.
They're used to punching each other in the face.
Hmm.
They're used to that thing. And once they punch each other in the face, they tend to become friends. And so there is that whole dynamic of that energy of that. Now, of course, we're talking about templates.
Right.
We're not talking about specifics, but generally speaking, and so, and the masculine, you know, because of the dynamics of reproduction and the way things were, it was like the feminine had to stay closer to home and was more vulnerable in that dynamic, and the masculine would go out and be the gatherer and would be the hunter
Hmm.
and would bring things back. And so that's how the energy began and built upon itself, but eventually you got to the point where you grew beyond that dynamic, but your beliefs have not grown with your physical maturity.
Physical, you mean including the technological?
Of all of it. You can't be separate from that. Now, as we have often said, the technological is going to save you, but it's got to be heart centered.